Welcome to episode 5, part A of my series of videos I'm making on the dysfunctional brain, the one cause, one cure. Now you might think that this is a fairly unusual background, but I'm doing it for two reasons. The first is I'm doing it at some tree roots. Now the mental health problems are located deep within our brain, deep within the brain stem, and in a tree that's represented by the roots. If you have a good root system in fertile soil, you're going to have a great tree above you. Here is the video of the actual tree that I'm standing under. The root system that I'm photographing belongs to this beautiful white gum, the eucalyptus species that's in Australia, a beautiful tree up there. But what I'm talking about today belongs to the power of the root system, what anchors it to the earth and what gives it its strength. But we don't understand the roots of the tree, or we don't understand the brain stem. So that's where my knowledge comes from, and that's what I'm talking about today. I'm getting to the roots of the problem. So and other people who talk about mental health usually have a library of books behind them, big pile of books and shelves of books. Well, that's the sort of knowledge you can get out of books. But what I'm talking about today is the knowledge that you get from the root system, from the brain stem. It's a very strong knowledge and a very important knowledge. But it's something that you need to experience. I'll tell you about it today, but just remember it needs to be an experience. And it comes from the very basis of who we are. Now, what I'm going to talk about today are belief systems and where they come from, but also irrational thinking, ideologies, and of course belief systems, and why we have them and why they cause so much damage within the human species. We have this situation where we have primal pain. We should have the lower part of the brain should be love, should be mostly love, or love imprinted within the lower brain. But unfortunately, we have primal pain and a lot of fear in that too. So we have to keep that out of conscious awareness. That's one thing I want to say about this root system as well while I'm here, is that for me, primal therapy, the therapy that I underwent, the primal therapy, delves deep into the root system. It basically makes the unconscious conscious, and that's a very important thing. There are many philosophers have talked about the unconscious. Many people from Freud, Jung, a lot of others talk about the unconscious and philosophize about it. But when I did the therapy, it cuts all that out. You understand, you get to experience that knowledge directly, and that knowledge is within my own brain, and I want people who are listening to this to understand that the knowledge that I'm talking about is actually in your own brain. I talk about some fairly sensitive subjects in belief systems, but remember that you have a brain that's set up like this as well, and that's what we need to understand so that we can get to the bottom of why humans have such a dysfunctional brain, and also that there's only one cause and one cure. But the one cause, one cure comes from the root system. We have to understand that. We have to make that unconscious part of ourselves conscious, and then we can do something about it. So the problem is when we have primal pain and fear, we need to repress that to keep it down. And so belief systems, ideologies, and irrational thinking come to the fore to help keep our bad experiences at bay, to keep them suppressed, to keep them in the unconscious. They still wreak havoc on our systems and on our thinking systems, but we're not aware of them. And that's what primal therapy did for me. It brings all that pain to conscious awareness, and that's why it's a standout therapy, because it knows that it needs to get right down into the root system of the mind and dredge all that stuff out and get it out of the system. It's very important that we understand that. So so belief systems come about because we need to keep our mind occupied on something else uh, rather than the truth of who we are. The actual truth is that we weren't loved by our parents, which is so painful that we don't want to experience it. We just press it down. So what happens is most of us walk around in our lives with forming belief systems and being educated in a way that doesn't really suit the human form at the level of the roots. It's all right up there in the tree somewhere where we can think about things and think life is grand or help whatever your situation is, but it's mostly just based on belief systems and false belief systems. The problem is with it is that we become our belief systems, so that when, if I do this video, I'm going to talk about religion and war. If I talk about that, people consider that to be a personal attack because they might believe that war is the only way to solve the human condition, just to get peace, or they rely on religion to do the same thing, to get peace and to keep primal pain at bay. That's what's underneath it all. Now, these things are nothing to be ashamed of. In my view, it's what we do to survive, and that's what I was told when I was going through the therapy. Don't be ashamed of what you have become, because you did it to survive. You had to do that. You didn't receive love from your parents, so you have to make allowances so that you can at least survive. And that's basically what belief systems, irrational thinking, and coming to the fore these days are the ideologies that aren't based on facts. They're just based on wild ideas, and those wild ideas keep us from our primal pain. So that's where our belief systems come from. From my own life's experience, I think the worst two belief systems that the human species endures in this particular time is religion and wars. I think they're two horrible things and we need to get rid of them. And I'd like to explain how we can do that with the explanation of the three levels of mind and getting down into the basis of who we are within those tree roots. 2,000 years ago, people didn't really understand the power of love, or the things that happen through the power of love. And so we invented a God to cover those things, the all-loving God. And then it becomes a belief system. Jesus spoke of love, and I think that he was pretty much on the ball. He seemed to understand the root system fairly well for a lot of things that he said. Jesus spoke of love, but unfortunately, the power of the people, or the power of the people wanting to control, we've ended up with Christianity, or ended up with religion. Not so much Christianity itself, that's the religion, but we've ended up with all different types of religions that are actually dividing us rather than bringing us together. And if you saw my earlier videos about this three levels of brain, love brings everything together. Love brings us the human species together. That's how we survive. So it's very important that we understand why we've gone down the God path, but we need to replace that with love. There's people, I've listened on YouTube with people, atheists, describing religion and it should just be got rid of. Well, I agree with that, but they don't give any alternate. You know, there are a lot of people in the world that understand that we need spirituality, but religion doesn't do it for them. Well, here's the reason, and I can be hard on religion. I feel as though I can be hard on religion because I do have an alternative that's 50 times better than what actual religion is. So I can describe that with the belief system. God became a belief system in that, well, I guess everybody will have their own understanding of God, but it's basically a belief system. So, if we want to understand love comes down here. Love is a part of who we are. It's in the very root system, and out of love, it has Love gives us our ethics and our morals. I don't think anybody will disagree with that, but we don't have a scientific understanding of what all that is. And so science needs, I appeal to science to get hold of this 3 levels of mind so that we can prove what love is, and then we can let God go. I just want to read a piece from one of my favourite authors in Bertrand Russell. Religion is something left over from the infancy of our intelligence. It will fade away as we adopt reason and science as our guidelines, and I fully support that. It will fade away as we adopt reason and science. So it's love that we need. It's love that we need to open up to in the root system of our minds, down in here. We've got our love buried because of the primal pain. We need to get rid of primal pain to understand that underneath that, or in amongst all that primal pain, there's love, and love provides us with our morals and our ethics. So religious people say, well, you need the Bible for our morals and ethics. But no, we don't. We just need to be open to the love. Every human needs to be open to the love that's in their own brain. And then we won't need religion, because love is 50 times better than what a belief in God is. Belief in God divides us. An understanding of what love is and bringing that love to the fore within each and every person on this planet will give our species the joy and the exuberance and the awesomeness that's available to us if we can just get rid of religion. But we need to understand why. We can't just say, oh, let's just get rid of religion. We need to understand how we come to believe in God, how religion evolved, and now we need science and reason to come on side to say that love is deep within us, and you might say God's within us, but it's not so much God. That's a belief system. What's within us is our love, and that's where our ethics and our morals come from. Now, if you're a religious person, I'm not asking you to give up your religion, so don't start sending me bad messages or whatever. You can have your religion, but the people I'm appealing to are the people in the population who don't understand, who wanted some spiritual feelings in their lives, that life is spiritual, is that you'll find it in love down here. You'll find your spirituality that you need within the power of love. I certainly found that when I was a teenager. I was going to church and trying to work out what religion was and what God was, and I could never understand it. But when I did that primal therapy and I got down into the roots of the system, there was love, and there's the power that people talk about. That's the godlike power. Love is just a godlike power. So we need to get rid of the belief in God and accept that we are a human species that are successful in evolution basically because we have the ability to love. And I'll say more about that in further episodes. So it's to the I don't know what percentage of the population, but I'm speaking to the percentage of the population that wants that spirituality but doesn't understand what it is. Let's do this, and then when that becomes more knowledgeable, hopefully we'll gradually move from religion to love, and that will be of great benefit to our species. And I believe it's the only way that we're going to go forward in our species in a happy and joyful and loving way. There's no other way. God hasn't done it. Let's give love a try. Another belief system that wrecks a lot of human lives is the belief that we can use physical violence to control others. And that starts at the domestic level, where men and women are violent towards each other and violent towards their children. Now, violence and control are part of the defensive system that keeps our primal pain at bay. We become violent, and we force others into doing things that we believe that they should be doing, because because we have an upset brain down here, it upsets our intellectual brain as well. And so to keep that fear away, we try and control others, we try and control our environment, and that shows itself in domestic violence. In Australia, 40% of police time is used up dealing with domestic violence, and it's just a totally unacceptable thing for the human species to put up with. It's horrible. We should love each other, and we should all be happy in relationships. 40% of police time, it's just a horrible statistic, and we don't know why it's happening. And with all the money that goes into domestic violence, we still don't improve outcomes because we're not understanding the root cause. Okay, it's those roots are coming in handy again. So the need to control people shows itself in domestic violence within the household, but it also shows itself in wars. We're trying to like basically kill other people to get them to believe what we want to believe. At the moment, we've got the Ukraine war going on. All those people should just drop their weapons and go home and give their family a hug. They shouldn't be. You have no right to go and kill another human because of what they believe. That should be fundamental. It doesn't matter whether you're enforcing capitalism or whatever you believe, capitalism or communism, you're trying to force on the world. You have no right to go out and shoot anybody. We're here just to enjoy ourselves, not to fight wars. It's just horrible. So where do wars come from? Well, it's our need to control other people. We have control systems in to keep us from our primal pain. If we can understand that, we can do something about it. So, but we don't. But we can't stop that because we don't understand. And so this is how we stop wars, and we also stop domestic violence with understanding the 3 levels of brain, and also the global area of love score. If you get more love there, well then you're going to be at global area of love score between 80 and 100, which is what we all should be aiming for. Every human should have the right. It's like when I left school, I had a report card that said this and that, but it didn't have my global area of love on it, which turns out to be by far the most important thing in my life, was to be able to get on with other people, have good relationships with other people, which I struggled with because my GAL score was 50, and that's where I needed strong belief systems, and I needed to control my environment a little bit and become cynical and all that sort of stuff. Whereas you don't do that if you're happy. You're just free and open and easy because you have the power of love in your root system, and then that goes up through the trunk of the tree and out through to the branches, and everything works well when that happens. So what do we do to stop wars? What do we do to stop these stupid wars? Realise that we don't have the right to kill anybody else. Number one, even if your government says that those people are bad and you've got to kill them, no, that's not right. That's what they've tried to get us to believe. We have no right to kill other people. That's the number one thing. So to stop wars, we need to understand what we're doing, and that's what I've repeated lots of times. We need to understand why we're fighting wars, and so we can take steps to stop it. But if everybody has a global area of love of 80 or above, you don't want to go out and kill anybody. You know that you have no right. If I have the right to kill somebody else, well then surely they have the right to kill me. And I don't want to be walking around on this earth thinking that the next person's going to want to kill me for what I believe. It's just a silly notion. So everybody gets a global area of love between 80 and 100, and then we won't have wars. Wars will disappear. They're such a terrible thing. We've had World War I and World War II, and we're still having wars. The mental health people should understand what wars are, what causes them, and they should be able to stop them. But they can't because all they're learning is up here at the cognitive level. And that's, we're all mixed up and crazy at that level. It's down here where we've got to get that primal pain out of the system, and then we become loving people, and then we won't need wars. But I'll have more to say on that in a future video.